The year is 1942, a time of great turmoil and uncertainty. The United States finds itself embroiled in the global conflict of World War II, a war that has already claimed countless lives and altered the course of history. The Pacific Coast, particularly California, is gripped by fear and uncertainty as the war's reach extends to American shores. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor just months earlier sent shockwaves across the nation, shaking the very foundation of American security. Now, the threat of a Japanese invasion loomed large in the minds of many Americans, creating an atmosphere of constant vigilance. Coastal defenses were strengthened, and blackout drills became a regular occurrence as communities prepared for the worst. The once carefree atmosphere of the Golden State had transformed into one of vigilance and apprehension, a stark contrast to its former self. The Pacific Ocean, once a symbol of tranquility and leisure, now represented a watery battleground, fraught with danger and uncertainty. Japanese submarines prowled the coastline, targeting American ships and instilling fear in coastal communities, their presence a constant reminder of the war's proximity. The threat was real, and the need for constant surveillance of the vast Pacific waters was paramount, as the nation sought to protect its shores. The U.S. Navy turned to a unique and formidable tool in its arsenal, the blimp, an unconventional yet effective means of coastal defense. These lighter-than-air airships, with their slow, deliberate movements and long patrol times, were ideally suited for coastal defense, providing a watchful eye over the vast ocean. Among the units tasked with this critical mission was Airship Squadron 32, stationed at Naval Air Station Moffett Field in Sunnyvale, California, a hub of wartime activity. These silent sentinels of the sky would patrol the coastline, their crews keeping a watchful eye out for any sign of enemy activity, ever vigilant in their duty. Little did anyone know that one of these routine patrols would become shrouded in mystery, giving rise to one of World War II's most enduring aviation enigmas, the legend of the Ghost Blimp, a story that continues to captivate and intrigue to this day.
Airship Squadron 32 played a vital role in the defense of the California coastline. Their primary weapons were not bombs and bullets, but keen eyes and the element of surprise. The blimps, often referred to as flying aircraft carriers, were equipped with sophisticated radar and sonar systems for their time. This technology allowed them to detect enemy submarines lurking beneath the waves and surface ships attempting to approach undetected.
Theirs was a tedious but essential task. Crews would spend hours, sometimes days aloft, scanning the vast expanse of the Pacific for any sign of danger. The routine nature of these patrols belied the very real risks involved. The blimps, filled with flammable hydrogen gas, were vulnerable to attack. The ever-present danger added an extra layer of tension to their missions. Despite the inherent dangers, the men of Airship Squadron 32 carried out their duties with dedication and bravery. They understood the importance of their mission, knowing that their vigilance was essential to protecting their country from a determined enemy. Among these brave airmen were Lieutenant Ernest DeWitt Cody and Ensign Charles Ellis Adams. These two skilled and experienced pilots were about to embark on what seemed like a routine patrol, one that would forever etch their names in the annals of naval aviation mysteries.
August 16, 1942, dawned like any other summer day in California, with the sun slowly rising over the horizon, casting a golden hue over the tranquil waters. At Naval Air Station Moffett Field, the air was thick with the scent of salt air and aviation fuel, a familiar blend that signaled another day of operations. The men of Airship Squadron 32 prepared for their assigned patrols, the routine, familiar, and well-rehearsed, each step a testament to their discipline and dedication.
Among them were Lieutenant Ernest DeWitt Cody, a seasoned pilot with a reputation for his cool head and steady hand, known for his ability to remain calm under pressure, and Ensign Charles Ellis Adams, a promising young officer eager to prove himself, driven by a sense of duty and ambition. Theirs was to be a routine submarine patrol off the coast of San Francisco, a mission they had flown numerous times before, each flight a crucial part of the war effort. At 6:03 a.m., under a sky just beginning to lighten with the dawn, Cody and Adams boarded their aircraft, a Navy L-8 blimp bearing the designation Flight 101, ready for another day of vigilance. The ground crew cast off the mooring lines, and the massive airship, its silver skin gleaming in the morning light, rose gracefully into the air, a majestic sight against the early morning sky. The L-8 blimp, while not a combat aircraft in the traditional sense, was a formidable platform for anti-submarine warfare. Its presence a deterrent to enemy submarines lurking below. It was equipped with state-of-the-art radar and sonar, capable of detecting submerged submarines and surface vessels, a technological marvel of its time. The crew of 4 consisted of 2 pilots and 2 enlisted men responsible for operating the detection equipment, each member playing a vital role in the mission's success. As Flight 101 droned its way out over the Pacific, the hum of its engines the only sound in the morning stillness, no one aboard could have imagined the mystery that lay ahead, a mystery that would soon unfold. Their mission, intended to be a routine patrol, would soon transform into a baffling disappearance, one that would captivate and confound investigators for decades to come, leaving behind more questions than answers. As the morning sun climbed higher, the L-8 blimp, with Lieutenant Cody and Ensign Adams at the helm, continued its patrol over the vast, shimmering Pacific waters. The crew was vigilant, scanning the horizon for any signs of enemy activity. The routine mission was suddenly interrupted by a radio transmission at 7:50 a.m., reporting an oil slick near the Farallon Islands. This was a common sight during the war, often indicating the presence of enemy submarines. Cody and Adams acknowledged the message and altered their course to investigate. The blimp's engines hummed as it changed direction, heading towards the reported location. That was the last anyone heard from Flight 101. The blimp vanished from radar, leaving no trace behind. By 9 a.m., the blimp was overdue, and attempts to reach the crew by radio went unanswered. The silence was deafening, and concern quickly spread among the military personnel. Concern quickly turned to alarm as the hours passed with no sign of the airship. The vast expanse of the ocean made the search efforts daunting and seemingly endless. Search efforts were launched, but the vast expanse of the ocean made the task daunting. Planes and ships scoured the waters, hoping to find any clue of the missing blimp. It wasn't until later that day, when the L-8 blimp was spotted drifting aimlessly over Daly City, that the true mystery began to unfold. The sight was both eerie and perplexing. Eyewitnesses would later recount the eerie sight of the pilotless blimp, its engines silent, floating ghost-like above the rooftops. The blimp seemed to be in a world of its own, detached from reality. The legend of the Ghost Blimp was born. Stories and speculations began to circulate, each more fantastical than the last.
I remember seeing it, just floating there, like it was lost. It was a sight that sent chills down my spine. There was no one in the gondola, just an empty blimp drifting over the city. It was as if the crew had vanished into thin air. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen. The blimp floated silently, a ghostly presence in the sky.
The L-8 eventually came to rest in a residential area, narrowly avoiding a catastrophic crash. The blimp's descent was slow and steady, almost as if it was being guided by an unseen hand. The Navy quickly secured the scene, but the questions remained. What had caused the blimp to drift so far off course? What had happened to Lieutenant Cody and Ensign Adams? Their disappearance was a mystery that baffled everyone. The mystery of the Ghost Blimp had only just begun to unravel. The story would go down in history as one of the most perplexing aviation mysteries of WWII. Its return was as mysterious as its disappearance. The blimp, now an eerie sight, floated back towards land, seemingly guided by an unseen hand.
It was almost like a ghost ship, just hanging there in the sky. I remember looking up and seeing that massive blimp drifting silently above.
Mrs. Appleton's house was nearly struck by the blimp as it descended, adding to the growing list of strange occurrences surrounding this incident.
We were all so scared it was like something out of a dream, or maybe a nightmare.
The blimp eventually crashed, but the mystery was far from over. As the blimp lay crumpled on the ground, the residents of Daly City gathered, trying to make sense of what they had just witnessed.
I was just a kid, but I remember the adults talking about it for weeks. They said it was like the blimp had a mind of its own.
Ken Gillespie, who lived in Daly City at the time, recalls the confusion and fear that permeated the community.
No one could explain how it happened. It was like something out of a science fiction story.
The Ghost Blimp incident remains one of the most baffling events in aviation history, leaving behind more questions than answers. In the days following the mysterious disappearance, the Navy launched an extensive investigation. They combed through every detail, hoping to uncover the truth behind the vanishing of Lieutenant Cody and Ensign Adams. Despite their efforts, the case remained shrouded in mystery, leaving everyone involved puzzled and seeking answers.
Well, there have been numerous theories about what happened to the crew of the L-8. Some speculate that they might have been abducted by enemy forces, while others believe they could have fallen overboard during the flight.
Indeed, the theories ranged from the plausible to the fantastical. With no concrete evidence, the mystery of the Ghost Blimp continued to captivate the public's imagination.
I remember prepping the L-8 for that flight. Everything seemed normal. It's hard to believe how things turned out.
The L-8, or the Ghost Blimp as it came to be known, remains a poignant reminder of the uncertainties of war. Though the crew was lost, their story endures, etched into the annals of aviation history.
Growing up in Daly City, the story of the Ghost Blimp was always a part of our local lore. It's something that we as a community have never forgotten.
The legacy of the Ghost Blimp lives on, not just in the history books, but in the hearts and minds of those who remember the fateful day. It stands as a testament to the enduring mysteries of our past and the relentless human spirit in seeking the truth.